Welcome, everyone, to a special side episode of the Jader and Kyle Show. Not your typical episode. This is not episode 48 here, everyone. But Jader and I decided that instead of writing some reviews today, we're going to talk about some movies that have come out recently. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Jader Paramo. What is up, sir?
What's up, dude? So we're the side pieces today, huh?
That's right. We're a side piece to our own show.
Yeah, man, excited to talk some films. We have never done this before, which is crazy because we always talk about reviewing like films that are coming out now, and we never do. So this is going to be the first of many. I don't know if we were going to name this episode. I like this whole review roundup.
Yeah.
The reason why it's called a roundup today is because we are actually going to discuss more than one film. So a couple films that have come out that we're reviewing. The first one we're going to review, I won't get into the title just yet, but we will how do you say this? Like, this is the only one we saw that we both saw together.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second film I only saw, and then the third film Kyle saw only.
Yep.
So I don't know. Yeah, man. Pretty excited to talk these movies. Let's see where our minds are at with the first one. I don't know if you want to introduce the first film, Kyle.
Well, it's funny because I never expected us. We always talked about doing these reviews, but it's so funny that these are the three movies we're starting with, like not Mortal Kombat or Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, like
it's the boy from
we have to talk about. Yeah, which I mean, I feel like we will cover Mortal Kombat on the show eventually, because I feel like that movie got a lot of hate, that it like undeservedly so, and I don't care. I'm still one of those major Mortal Kombat 2021 protectors. I love that movie. I know it has its mistakes, but again, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about
the boy from Medellin.
It's not Medellin, dude. Where are you from? Where's your background from? Please tell me that. Please tell the audience that.
So I was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, to a mother who was born in, Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
And a father who was also born in Connecticut, and his parents were born in Colombia. So
you're part Colombia. So we are actually reviewing for my non-white friends out there. We are reviewing The Boy from Medellin, which is the Medellin. Or you could. I'm surprised, honestly, since
Medellin?
You've never seen exactly, and it's an Entourage. But I forget you've never seen Entourage. So it's major in Medellin is major in season 4, but yeah, man. Basically, the film is about Colombian reggaeton star J Balvin preparing for his 2019 tour. Back home, he had never performed in Medellin, where he's from, and it's like it's basically the days in and days out preparing for this major tour that he's doing, while actually the the country of Colombia is like in political turmoil completely, which is still going on now. And our hearts go out to our fans and family from Colombia. Not our fans in Colombia, because I don't think they're watching us Colombia, but where I'm from, Miami, and I have so many Colombian friends, and a lot of families going through very terrible times. So we were actually supposed to see this movie in the theater, and the screening got canceled because of everything going on, which rightfully so. I understand exactly why, but they still managed to send us some links, and we saw it from home. But what are your overall thoughts on the film?
So it's funny, going into it, I never really latched on to these concert films, these lead up to concerts, because it's always like you have the Justin Bieber one, a Michael Jackson one. You got one, like there's so many artists who have their concert films, and if you're not a big fan of the artist, why are you even going to watch it in the first place? Yeah. But J Balvin, I've heard of before. I've heard some of his music. I'm not a massive fan, but it's nothing against him. He's a talented guy. I never really knew much about him going in. This documentary gives you a reason to watch. There is more than just his music into this, and it's 100% about the political intrigue that's going on. You're coming home to Colombia, to your home country. This is the biggest performance you're ever going to have, and just as you're about to get there, riots and protests are in the streets, causing chaos. The whole country is in turmoil, and it's threatening to to disrupt the biggest concert you've ever had in your entire life. And I can see where he's coming from in this as someone who just wants to entertain. He just wants to be famous. He wants to put on a show for his friends, for his family, for everyone in this country. But there's something getting in the way. And is it something that he needs to push out of the way, or is it something that he needs to embrace? And that's what this film really dives into.
Yeah, agreed 100%. I I mean, it's no spoiler. I really enjoyed this, but I am a big J Balvin fan. I listen to his music regularly. I listen to reggaeton regularly. And again, it was one of those. I had no idea about this film coming out until maybe a week before I got asked that it was if we wanted to review it, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know it was so soon. I thought it was something that was going to be a little bit later on, and it's just one of those like, hey, you want to review it? Hey, it's out. And I'm like, oh man, and I actually, it's crazy that he is going through this. Obviously, again, the big concert. It was his first time performing in his country, and that stadium is known for hosting like legend artists in that world, in that reggaeton era. Where he mentioned himself, man, I remember the first time I was in that stadium. Usually it's soccer games because obviously Colombia is big on soccer. And then he goes, but then I saw legends like like Daddy Yankee, Ivy Queen. He's like Nicky Jam, a bunch of artists that we obviously know now that they're just giants in that industry, right? And I like getting his background on. He's always been that dreamer, and he's always been, like he came to Miami, to the United States to follow this dream. He was painting houses in the morning and then at night living a double life, as he said, becoming this thing where he this artist, and then it just didn't work out for him where he had to run back home and, start from scratch. And that's when he started to blow up in Colombia again. Colombia shows a lot of love to these artists because there's a documentary on Netflix, which I thought it was excellent, which is a story of Nicky Jam and how Nicky Jam, being Puerto Rican, and that's, reggaeton originate, as far as I know, I'm, don't quote me here, guys, or anything like that. But as far as I know, reggaeton it started in Puerto Rico. It wasn't, it's not, that's where everything went down. And, Nicky Jam's story, and I don't mean to, it all comes back to Colombia, but Nicky Jam's story starts off from him being basically very irresponsible, very, he was addicted to drugs. He was, gang banging and things like that. And Colombia kind of gave him that second chance because Puerto Rico kind of didn't want anything to do with him because they knew that he was just such a screw up. Daddy Yankee had his back so many times until Daddy Yankee got fed up with him and was like, dude, you're not taking this serious. I'm a hardworking man, and I gotta cut you off. Like he basically cut him off, and they were supposed to be this like dynamic duo, right? So Nicky Jam, just Colombia calls him some radio. They're like, hey, would you like to perform your 3 famous songs? And he's like, yeah, let me go. And then he goes, he meets producers, and he gets clean over there in Colombia and just resides over there. And the Nicky Jam we know now is thanks to Colombian production in Colombia and all that stuff. So Colombia, again, always shows a lot of love to these artists. One of the major takeaways from this movie is that where he basically, that fine line where he's like, I am not a political person. I am here to entertain. Yes. Which is crazy because normally I side with him where I'm like, dude, and I'm not one to bash on actors or actresses, directors, or, Hollywood stars or what have you for speaking their political side of things, but everyone else does. So I've learned that if anybody ever speaks up, people tell them to shut up immediately and be like, hey, stick to what you know. And this guy was trying to do that, but then it's damn if you do, damn if you don't. Yes. Right.
And that's the fine line.
I saw that struggle within him where I'm like, man, I feel bad for him because he's legit, and he says it, he goes, we're going to throw this biggest concert so everybody can just disconnect for how many hours we can disconnect for. And everybody's like, they had local artists calling him out like, hey, like, it's nice to see you see the city in ruins from Miami. And, all this stuff that like undeservedly hate, to be honest with you, because he's not a political person. And then I feel like that major struggle that he had, and then we learned things about him that we didn't know, that he suffers from depression and anxiety, which is, I don't like bashing on these how do you like on those issues, to be completely honest with you, because I felt like in the beginning of the film he mentions that he has anxiety and depression, and that he had nights where he even wanted to kill himself, because he's like, why did I choose this career? Why did I choose this where I'm not good at it, but I'm not getting to where I need to be at this level in my life? And it's very like, oh my God, this is happening. But then, and it just kind of goes the two-sided. So at first I felt like, it's a little woe is me, man, because.
So so I kind of want to jump in on that, because that was my biggest problem with this. I'm okay with you telling me about your background, your depression. I think that's necessary. I think that humanizes you. It makes you more of a relatable person. But I don't need you to go back to it in this documentary 4 or 5 times. It was not necessary. I get it at this point. This documentary hits well is that fine line of the political intrigue of, like you said before, I didn't get into the entertainment business to be a politician. It's something that a lot of artists face every single day. You expect them to say something. Chappelle had to deal with it when the Black Lives Matter was going on, when he did his whole stand-up special. Where's Chappelle? And Chappelle's like, the people are speaking for themselves. They don't need me. But in Colombia,
because now it's going to be, it's the artist is saying this. It's not, and that's one thing the documentary gets right, where he's like, I'm an entertainer. They're like, but you're also Jose. They're like, you're not J Balvin from the States. You are Jose. I forget his middle and last name, Balvin. Yes. He says it all the time.
And that's my favorite part of this documentary is, funny enough, the one non-Colombian person is the person who kind of crescendos this entire thing is Scooter Braun. Scooter Braun is famous music manager. He's managed people like Justin Bieber and Usher and J Balvin, Demi Lovato. Like, he's the biggest music manager out there. And he comes to Scooter or he comes to Jay and basically tells him, listen, they don't need J Balvin right now. They want Jose, like you said. And I know you got into this not to be a political figure, but people work their entire lives to get the platform that you have. And it is up to you to use that platform to say how you feel, to help these people, because you are a representative of them. And so I think that, I don't know how you feel, man. I think that was probably the best part of the documentary for me, is them finally convincing him that maybe you do need to say something. You need to, because if you
that was just a whole Spider-Man moment. That's with great power comes great responsibility, and that's why that quote is so great, because it just hits with it can hit with so many different things. Same. That's one of the things. So another little background. So before I saw the film, obviously we know that this is going on right now, real time. Even though this documentary was filmed, I think for November, the concert was in November in Colombia. So it's been some months since that concert happened, but things are still going on till this day, day in and day out. Things are getting worse and worse and worse.
And for people who don't know what's going on, there's a bunch of young people in the streets every single day with signs who are just demanding for their voices to be heard. They're demanding for representation, for better health care, access to education, stuff like this. They feel that the president, of right-leaning president, is not supporting them in their lives. And they're tired of it. They're fed up, and they are out in the streets making their voices heard.
And if I'm not mistaken, I don't know how many deaths right now. I feel completely ignorant to the fact, and I apologize for that. I know at the time there had been only 3 deaths, I think, during the documentary. I know the body count has risen since.
And one they really focused on in this, I forget the boy's name, but he is a part of this.
Yeah. I don't want to say his name's Diego, man. I forget what it was. I think it started with a Diego or something like that.
I think it's Derek.
Derek, right?
Derek. Yeah. J Balvin makes an Instagram post saying how wrong
and he got eaten alive for even showing that, which is crazy to me, because he's like, and he says it. He goes, I'm not doing this for a political. I'm doing this because they killed somebody. Somebody's not on this earth because they murdered him. So he's like, this is more of a showing support to the dead body than it is to the issues that are going on. And he got eaten alive for that too. I felt like the way that he handled it, at a little bit of spoiler, he does handle it towards the end, and he mentions it in the concert, and the way he does it, I felt was very classy. But going back to what I was saying, so things are going on in real time. I work in a mall now, and by coincidence, right before I saw the movie, I helped. Let me retract. I saw 20 minutes of the film before going to work, knowing we had to review this. So I'm like, let me try to get it out the way now so I can see it, like, as much as I can at night and try to review it as soon as possible. So I had the beginning shows you a J Balvin concert, and then it kind of dives right into the whole, everything that's going on with the city, or with the country. I'm sorry. And coincidence, I go to work, lady's wearing a Colombian jersey, and I'm like, and then I didn't mention anything. I was just like, how are you doing today? Whatever. And she goes, oh, I just came from the there was something going down in Bayside where, we were there like picketing and, all that stuff. And, I was like, all right. I'm like, by coincidence, I'm watching this documentary about this. And then I tell her it's the J Balvin documentary. She goes, oh, there's a lot of upset people with him. They're like, I don't know if so much anymore, but I know before. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty much what the documentary is about, what I've seen so far. Cause I managed to see 30 minutes, I think, maybe before I left. I don't know if people are still upset with him, which I think they are, because if you look at the score for this film on IMDb, it has a 5, right, out of 10. If you click the reviews for this movie, it's not people that have even seen this movie. It's just people calling him out, saying, don't represent our country if you're not going to represent us. It's getting bashed. So I think that, like, whatever happened at the end of this movie, which I felt like he addressed it fine, and I feel like it's not out of character of him to just be like, oh, now I'm going to stand political, which he says it. He goes, it's a lot of things going on that I don't really understand. I'm not a political person. But the movie, he is getting bashed a lot, which sucks because it's not a bad documentary by any means. It's very entertaining.
No, and it's different than, like I said, the most concert films. It's
Exactly.
really not like just a puff piece for this artist. They put him on the coals and make him feel the pressure for all this. And I don't know about you. I felt like his address of this topic was kind of weak, but he still did it. And it's up to the people to decide whether they agree with him or they don't. They think they needed more. And I don't know what he's done since this concert happened, if he's spoken about it more or whatever it may be. But I think there's a lot of credit to give to him, the fact that he put this movie out there knowing that he's probably going to get bashed for it. He did it anyways, though. So this movie gives you a chance to decide. You can say whether you agree with it or not. But I think it's very well done. It's something you should check out. It's on Amazon Prime right now. You can stream it. It's only about an hour and a half long, so it's not a lot of your time. Jader, give me out of 5. Give me a score.
Out of 5, I can give you a 3, man. 3 stars out of 5. It's nothing out of this world or anything like that. One thing I will tell you, I don't know how you felt this way, but by the end of the documentary, I'm like, I gotta get my ass to a J Balvin concert, dude, because they look awesome.
Yes.
That final scene at the end where they actually show the show and all that, man, that was great stuff. And I mean, I've been trying to go to his concert for a while now. I just haven't. But this certified me, like, next time he's touring, I'm probably gonna be there. It sucks that he's getting all this bad. He seems like such a humble individual, right? He was over there in Colombia. Like, people were calling him out. He's like, hey man, let's meet face to face. And and it wasn't in a scrappy way whatsoever. It wasn't in a tough guy way. It was just like, hey, like, if we have issues, let's talk. I'm in Medellin right now. He's like, let's talk in person and let's see what we can talk about. How can I help? Right. So and you can tell that he's just hanging out with his family. He's always with his family, with his same little entourage. He's not out there.
And all this
stuff. Dude. He seemed like such a humble, and I've seen plenty of interviews with him before, and I saw him on Hot Ones, and he was great on that. So again, I'm a big fan. I love his music, and I'm like, this sucks that he's getting this hate. But again, I'm not one to speak on them because I'm like, I can't say like him. I'm from Nicaragua, but my country was going through stuff like 2 years ago very bad. Like it's the same thing. Everything that's Central and South America, I feel like eventually it's turning into like just communist countries.
Yeah.
And Venezuela went through the same. Obviously, we know Cuba went through that, and now Colombia is going through it. Which again, I'm never been a very political person. It sucks that he's getting this hate for this film because of what's going on. I understand why people are upset, but let's try to differentiate an artist, a reggaeton artist at that, versus anything political.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'm going to give this a 4. I think I really respect the film for not just puffing up J Balvin and making him like this good person, making him this just pure great person who's never, gone through anything. They gave us a background to humanize him, and they put him through the coals. They really rake him through. They make him face the political intrigue that a lot of artists are going through every single day in this country and other countries all across the world. And they don't praise him for it at the end either. They make you decide. So I respect that out of the documentary. Am I ever going to watch it again? I don't know. Probably not. I don't see I like that.
It's a one and done. It's not. I mean, I don't think it's out there for people to just watch over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's a one and done. If someone's never seen it and wants to see it,
I would recommend it though.
Yeah, I would exactly. It's one of those like if a buddy of mine or my mom's here and she's like, "Oh, I never got to see that." I'm like, "Oh, I'll sit down and watch it with you." But like I'd go out of my way and watch it? Probably not. Yeah.
No. So that's gonna do it for the boy from Medellin or Medellin.
No, dude, don't Medellin, bro. Just pretend there's a Y instead of the double L. Say that.
Medellin.
No, a Y instead of the double L, dude. Medellin.
Medellin.
Like a yin. You know how to say yin and yang, dude. Don't stop it.
Spiral is coming out this weekend, everybody, and it is the latest chapter in the Saw franchise with a twist on it. We are actually getting famous actors in this one, and it seems like this Saw movie has more prestige and intrigue going into it as opposed to all the other sequels that came out ever since the original. So, Jader, you saw this one. I didn't. What were your thoughts walking out of Spiral?
You want my initial thoughts from the get, or you want me to just work my way there? What do you want me to do, man?
Let's start. You walk out of this film. What did you think? Did this film succeed in making you want to see this?
It's okay. It's okay. I didn't hate it. Basically, all right. So I'm gonna start from the get, man. Spiral, and this is coming from my background of the Saw films. Have you seen all of them?
I've seen the first one.
First Saw movie. Okay, well,
the one that people consider that is good.
So good news for you. That's all you need to see. So you know the premise of the film. Basically, the Saw films is based on the Jigsaw murders. Basically a serial killer that doesn't really kill his prey, if you will, his victims. He basically gives you a second chance at life, but you're gonna go through some gruesome stuff to get there. Excuse me. So, sorry. Basically, that's all you need to know for this film. This film does not connect to any other Saw films except that background. You just got to know that once upon a time, there was a Jigsaw murder, and it happened in this city. It's basically all it is. So again, it's the ninth of the franchise. I'm a big fan of the Saw franchise overall. I think there's probably 3 that I'm not too fond of. 3? Yeah, 5, 4 of them. 4 of them I'm like, well, they're very like mediocre, lukewarm for you. So yeah, just like I said, you don't need to know. You just need to know the basics. It felt very much like the movie 7, which is crazy to say, right? Because 7, we reviewed it on the channel before. Everybody knows my love for this film. I love 7 so much. It's just nowhere near as good as a film. It's kind of like the premise or the way things were going down. Like remember 7, you see the victim, and then they kind of go back and explain, hey, this is what's going on. Spiral tends to do that. One of the things that I really loved about this movie is the opening act. The opening act to this movie was like, holy shit, they're going all out with this. I thought the trap was crazy. It was very gory. But it kind of like, starts off on such a high and it just starts to like really decline for me. Let me ask you this.
we have Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson in this film. I think that's the prestige I was talking about going into it. Does that add to it at all?
So this is what I'm going to say. You can tell that there's a difference compared to the other Saw films because all the other Saw movies are very low budget films, and this is the reason why we got one every single Halloween.
They're disposable.
Because they put them out, they made a shit ton of money, and let's put on another one, right? I feel like you can tell that there was more budget thrown into this one because again, you get Chris Rock, you got Samuel L. Jackson in the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by having that, you can tell, and it looks nice. It's when it comes to like art direction, production, cinematography, it excels. You're like, oh, this is a very nice looking film. One of the things that I feel that hurts this movie a lot is actually the director.
Okay.
So Darren Lynn Bousman is the one that directed this movie. I'll get back to why I feel that way, but that's one of the main things that I feel hurts this film. He directed Saws 2, 3, and 4. So he's very familiar with this franchise. So I'm just gonna say it now. For them trying to try something different, I feel like they should have gotten with somebody that's never touched the franchise just to get that different feel to it. Because I feel like it wasn't directed very well. Overall, I feel like it's a mid-tier Saw film. It's better than the ones that I don't like, but compared to 1, 2, 3, and I really, really like 6 a lot. It falls right under those. Better than the ones that I don't like, but not better than the ones that I actually do like. So it's very, very in the middle.
It's mediocre.
Very meh film. I think the idea that Chris Rock tried to bring to the because he brought the script to Lionsgate and he's like, this is what I want to do with the franchise. Let's make this work. Lionsgate loved it and they went for it. So I like the leap of faith that they had with him and they did that. I just felt like and I don't even want to say the execution because there's a lot that does work in this film. I feel like the landing didn't stick, right? I feel it was very Chris Rock being that character, again, unorthodox. How do I say this, man?
Well, Chris Rock's trying new things. He just was in the latest season of
and I don't bash somebody for doing that. And that's why I don't really want to bash him because he did something different. What was crazy for me was like it starts off with like when once you get past the beginning, like that big opening, you get introduced to his character and what he is. He's a police officer. For those who don't know, basically it's a criminal mastermind. Basically, things are going down. He's attacking cops. So the targets are pure cops, which is not something that Jigsaw does. It's a Jigsaw copycat, right? And he's just the detective leading this case. Very, very simple premise, right? Mm-hmm. So the dialogue felt very like a cop film. So it wasn't anything out of this world or anything. So he did a good job in some of the scenes. One of the things that did bother me was when he had this smolder look to him where they were like, like they're filming him walking or like looking through and he's like it looked so like just like you laughed right now. That was in the theater.
Like the zebra from Madagascar.
I'm not trying to laugh at him at all because again, he's doing something different. I'm not trying to laugh. But I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, I don't want to say miscast because he wasn't, but a lot of people are saying that. And
misdirected?
Yeah, it's more misdirection. I think the director is what hurt this film, which sucks because I like 2 out of the 3 films that he's directed. I do like Saw 2 and 3. But the dialogue was a little like, meh. One of the things that I have, a positive, which, everybody's going to like. Samuel L. Jackson, I don't want to say him, but you get a motherfucker out of him. And,
does he chew up the scenery? Like
but again, he was Samuel L. Jackson was in the movie for maybe 20 minutes. Like he was in and out. You can tell that he was probably on set for 4 days, 5 days. Like that was it. Like he did what he needed to do. I don't want to say he phoned it in, but he kind of phoned it in. And, that was that. One of the things, it's just so predictable. I promise you, I figured out who was the big bad, who was behind everything. 30 minutes in, 30 minutes into the movie, and I leaned over to Steph, and I was like, "It's this person." And then she goes, "You think so?" And then I'm like, "Yes." She leans in and she goes, "This is the motive," and it ended up being exactly that. It ended up being the exact thing for a lot. I know I'm probably asking for a lot for a soft, but they just blew up this talk with Chris Rock saying that he had this just crazy script, which was written. I don't know if it was just because he used the characters of Saw, but I know the writing credits are Lee Winnell, James Wan, and Chris Rock for writing. But I don't know if it's just characters because there's not really any character except for Jigsaw.
Yeah.
And it was a mention, if that. So I don't know if all three of them wrote it, or if it was just strictly Chris Rock. So for them for them saying everything that they said for the film, and it just kind of like it's getting blown up, But again, it's not like how dare they not market the film, because they need to market their film. It's gonna make money. It's gonna people are. You don't think so?
So here's the thing. I think they mismanaged this. First of all, this movie was supposed to come out last year. It's obviously a victim of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I believe putting this film out in May as opposed to October is going to be a massive mistake. I know Halloween Kills is coming out in October.
Yeah.
But you put this at the end of September, early October, and just let it play up until Halloween comes
out. Every single Saw film came out on Halloween or Halloween weekend. Every single one of them. They wouldn't even play it in September. It would be October, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st. That's if you go back, that's every Halloween I made my plans to go see the Saw films. I think I gave up after 3 because I was like, all right, 3. I felt like 3 closed that story, and then they're like,
it's like I get it now. It's the same thing.
Yeah, you're gonna keep much. Going, and it's more of the same. Like I felt like again, the shot they took, I give you props for that. I don't feel like it stuck the landing. And usually, again, the Saw films, when you're watching them, have this big twist at the end. Every single one of them has this, oh man, I didn't see that coming, or it has something. In this one, I knew it, and when the reveal came out, I'm like, well, that's not satisfying. Like I knew that, and usually one of the things that I do give credit to these films are kind of the ending. Like the ending always gives some sort of twist where you might get something, but you might not get that whole twist. Maybe you will, maybe you haven't. I don't know. It ends so abruptly, dude. It legit, you're in, and usually the climaxes for Saw films are a good, the last 20 minutes where things are just building up. I can't say this was more than 10 minutes of build up, and it just goes to black, and you're like, I was like, what? It ends, and I was like, all right. Again, it sounds like I didn't like this movie. Obviously,
you were disappointed.
It was just disappointing. I know I shouldn't ask for so much. It's the 9th film in the franchise,
and a 10th is coming.
And again, if it makes money, I'm pretty sure the 10th is coming. I think it will. I think people do care about this franchise a lot. The only one I felt like bombed was 6, and 6 for me was fantastic. I felt like that one should have gotten way more money than it did.
So give me a star rating then. What would you give this film?
You know what? If I get Medellin a 3, bro, I have to give this one like a 2.5, man.
That's
again, Chris Rock is fine in it. Max Minghella, I think I'm saying that right. He's from Social Network. He plays William Shank. He plays the rookie cop with Chris Rock. I think their pairing was really good. It again, not the same, but it kind of did remind me of Training Day, where and it's not going with the black and white thing. It's just like Chris Rock is very over it, and he has trouble in the precinct. I don't want to say why, it's one of the plots of the film, but he's having trouble. And he's telling him kind of hey, enjoy this job, kind of like old cop, new cop,
like Danny Glover.
This job is going to take the life out of you, and enjoy your wife while she's still here and shit like that. Again, it's very cliche, dude. But I like their dynamic together. I thought they were pretty good. Marisol Nichols, which plays Captain Angela Garza, again, the acting isn't bad. It's what they're given, which is one of the things that I'm like, the director should have been like, I need more. Give me just a little bit more. This is what you're feeling at this moment. And there's times where I'm like, one thing that we haven't said is how are the game, and not the games, the traps. out of every Saw film, I feel like this is the most tamed one, right? Compared again, this is comparing to the last couple ones where it was just gore porn. I felt like this one was tamed. That doesn't mean that they're not graphic or bloody, because they are. It's just compared to the other ones, it's tamed. But they are gruesome. Spoiler alert: there's only like 4 or 5. There isn't many. And I felt like, it starts off, and then the second one was like, oh my God, that's pretty bad. Then the third one was like, oh, okay, that's pretty bad, but it's not. And then it just kind of starts going down, right? So they kind of blew their load very quick.
Yeah.
But
that's too bad. But it sounds like if you're a Saw fan, you'll probably see it, and it'll probably just be worked into all the other ones. It's gonna be just a part of the mess that you have with all these Saw films.
Again, and I can kind of piggyback off that. One of the things that I can say is that if you're a fan of the franchise, you're gonna watch it. You're gonna probably feel about the same, or maybe you will like this film. Again, I don't feel like it's a bad film. I just feel like it's nothing new. And if you're not a fan of the franchise, this is not going to turn you into a fan by any means. And I guess those could be my closing words off this. I wanted to like it. I'm a huge fan. I did a marathon last week watching all 7 films in preparation for this. And it just, had I not seen the movies recently, maybe I would have been like, yeah, no, I remember, I do like this one, this and that. But seeing them so fresh, it made me remember why I do love this franchise. I think there are I think, again, not a lot of people love this franchise. I'm one of them that absolutely does love it. I just felt like, more could have been done. And I felt like they were, I don't know if they even believed in this film themselves, if that makes sense.
I think Chris Rock saw Adam Sandler crush it in Uncut Gems. He was like, let me try something dramatic, and it just maybe not worked. But give Chris Rock a director like the Safdies or someone like I
honestly think a different director would have helped this movie immensely. And that's no knock to Darren Lynn Bousman, because again, I do like 2 out of the 3 films that he did. I think they're in the top tier for me. And he understands his world, but I think since we already seen that world and this is trying to be something kind of different, that's kind of what hurt this film overall. But yeah.
So Saw is not a strong or Spiral is not a strong recommendation, guys.
You can wait for it to kind of home. If you're a Saw fan, go see it. Obviously, dark lights and all, and it's loud and all that stuff. Go watch it. I mean, I do want to see a sequel, but if they tell me, hey, we're not going to get a sequel, I'd probably be okay with it. But if you're not a fan, I just wouldn't run to go see this movie in the theater personally.
Well, for one movie that's got a mild recommendation, we jump into another one that you can watch straight at home this weekend, and it's called The Woman in the Window, and this is not going to get a strong recommendation at all. I am sorry, everybody. The Woman in the Window is a movie that was supposed to come out last year as well, I believe in April of last year, so it's been about a year since it was going to come out. I remember seeing this trailer and being really excited for it. It was one of the final films that 20th Century Fox had and became 20th Century Studios, and then last year it was sold to Netflix. Big red flag, everybody. If a big studio ever sells their film to Netflix, it's usually not a good sign. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, we're going into this. The Woman in the Window is directed by Joe Wright. We will get to you in a second, sir. Joe Wright, starring Amy Adams, Gary Oldman, Julianne Moore, Wyatt Russell, Brian Tyree Henry, just a bunch of great actors.
Anthony Mackie in this too?
Anthony Mackie, kind of. There's a bunch of people in this film that are famous. It's got a lot of pedigree going in. So the premise is Amy Adams is agoraphobic. She will not step outside at all. She lives in her home. She talks to her husband on the phone all the time, but they're separated, and she's just kind of by herself with her cat. A family moves in across the street. She starts to get to know them by them coming over to see her. She meets the son. She meets the wife, and she meets the abusive husband. And then one day she's looking out her window and sees a murder happen, sees the wife get murdered and taken.
That sounds so familiar, dude.
Well, hold on.
But
there's a twist. So sees the wife get murdered, calls the cops, gets them involved, and then the family comes over and is basically like, that's not my wife. I didn't murder my wife. My wife's right here. And then there's Jennifer Jason Leigh. So it's like it's one of those intrigue movies of, did this happen? Did it not happen? Is she crazy? Did she see something? It's essentially Rear Window, which, I mean, it's in the title.
That's where I was
Rear
getting.
Window meets Fight Club to me. Where is this in her head or is it not? Sounds fascinating on the surface, but it's not at all. Joe Wright, what are you doing, sir? So Joe Wright, director, is he's known for period pieces, basically. Anna Karenina,
for me, man. I'm not.
Pride or Prejudice, Atonement, The Darkest Hour,
Hannah.
Anne. So
he did Pan. Let me go through The Soloist, which is one that I mentioned.
Soloist, yes.
Yeah.
He's a well-respected director. He's got some hits and he's got misses, and this one makes no sense at all. So hearing that premise, you're like, okay, I'm in. A murder mystery. She's looking at something through. Rear Window is one of the best movies ever made to me. Alfred Hitchcock.
I absolutely adore that film.
It might be his most rewatchable film. You can easily get Jimmy Stewart's got so much charisma. Amy Adams has a lot of charisma, but not in this film. This film, for some reason, they feel the need to stylize it over the top. There are weird camera angles where things get zoomed in really quick and zoomed out. There's a shot where Amy Adams is sitting on her rocking chair and looking through the crack of the door, and you see things there at one point, and then they're gone at the next point. It keeps going back and forth. And it's like he's trying to be very creative, but dude, just tell the story. Just give us what we're here for. Let the mystery unfold on its own and for us to figure it out from there. And it just doesn't work. It's way too much. Amy Adams is not the charming Amy Adams we know. She's kind of frustrating in this because you don't know what her deal is. Where is it going? And then finally, when there's the reveal at the end, what's actually happening, what might have happened or might not have happened, it makes no sense. It's not worth it. And you just feel like you wasted a lot of time. Every movie we've talked about today, first one was 90 minutes, second one's 90 minutes, this one's 100 minutes. This one felt the longest, but by a lot. Like I felt like I saw two, like that. This movie feels like it's 3 hours. It's way too long, and I was not a big fan of this one.
All right, so you're saying you're not a big fan. Obviously, you're saying that Joe Wright didn't hit it and Amy Adams didn't hit it. How was the supporting cast?
Supporting cast is fine, but this is not their movie at all by any stretch. This is a movie where it's Amy Adams is in every shot of this film. She is. You follow her around the house. This is her movie, and other characters come and go.
Kind of like Jimmy Stewart in Rear Window.
Precisely, and I believe Gary Oldman's doing something weird in this. He's got a weird accent.
Everyone award.
Yes, so like he might get that. Jennifer Jason Leigh makes no sense. Julianne Moore is a little creepy. I think the only other actor who really works in this is Wyatt Russell, and Wyatt Russell is the tenant that lives in Amy Adams' basement. She's got it looks like a 6-7 story house. Like she's that rich. And there's shots from the stairwell looking down. You can see every single floor she has. So Wyatt Russell lives in the basement, and will like take her trash out every now and then, or just walk in. He has a lot of charm. He brings some kind of levity to it. Brian Tyree Henry will step in every now and then. That's
what I was to tell you, man. Because Brian Tyree Henry kind of like kills everything he's in, dude. He's just a fun actor in everything that he's in. He was one of my positives in Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah. But and he walks into this, and we just know what he's capable of. We know what all these actors are capable of, and I don't feel like Joe Wright lets them play to their strengths, which is what you really need to do with something like this, a mystery film. Let us see this cast of characters and maybe make it a guessing who actually did it, or is Amy Adams just crazy and imagining all this in her head? It's one of those that goes back and forth. You're just not on board for them. It's like you sit there and you say to yourself, get on with it. What are we doing? It felt like such a waste of time. And I was very let down because seeing this trailer, seeing this cast, the director, you feel like, okay, maybe Amy Adams could get her Oscar from this. This could be one of those intriguing films. Woman in the Window connects to Rear Window. It's got some pedigree to it. And no.
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like she did have. So we talked about Amy Adams before we came in here. Ever since Arrival in 2016, I don't know what she's doing, man. She's chasing. So she does Justice League, and then does I believe it was Hillbilly Elegy. Not a good film.
Yeah, I avoided that one like a plague because it was just a general census of that film was that it fucking sucked.
Yes.
So I'm like, and I'm not one, to be completely honest with you, that I'm like, if I like a movie, and I've said it before, I said it here right now with Mortal Kombat. If I like a movie, I'm gonna pretend I'm gonna watch it. This and that. But this was something that was like, just everyone was like, what is going on with this film? So yeah, no, he did it. I think she did Sharp Objects, which I heard was phenomenal.
I heard that's a good TV show. Vice, I thought she was good in, but she's not in much. It's not her movie. That's Christian Bale's movie.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's Amy Adams. I want her to get back to just being the charming person she is and finding that right role for her. And on the surface, this feels like something that she probably read this script, saw who's directing it, saw the cast, and was like, you know what, this might be it for me. And it just doesn't work. It's one of those letdowns where all the pieces are in place and everything doesn't fit.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I had no idea what this movie was until probably last night or 2 nights ago. And it wasn't even from you. It was from our friend James. From Real James. Check out his channel if you guys haven't seen it. He's a great movie reviewer, a great friend of ours. He's the one that was telling me that he was going to review this, and so I read about it, and I'm like, oh, it sounds awesome. And then you're telling me here, don't go for it.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all, and it's just like I said, if a movie gets sold to Netflix from another studio, it's usually not a good sign. So just keep that in mind, guys. I remember the Lovebirds came out last. It was supposed to come out, and then Netflix got it. What's J.J. Abrams' series? Cloverfield Paradox, on Netflix, and it's just a complete mess. So keep that in mind. Netflix original movies are usually good. The ones they buy, probably not. There's a reason why the studios are dumping it to a streaming service. So keep that in mind, everyone. It's on Netflix this weekend. I would give it probably the same as you with Spiral, even though it seems like you're a little more positive with Spiral.
Yeah. I'm a little bit more positive with Spiral. I didn't hate it. It just didn't do anything for me. It's a very like shoulder shrug movie for me. And this, but I didn't hate it. I just wanted more out of it. And I feel like I'm asking for too much.
Exactly. And this was just disappointing. It's not something I wanted probably ever go back and see. I'm just kind of angry that all the right pieces were in place and this is what we got. It doesn't make sense to me. So I give it about, if you gave Spiral a 2, it sounds like you're more positive. I'll give this about a 1.5. I don't need to see this again. I don't want to see it again. Amy Adams, maybe stay away from Netflix because Hillbilly LG was on Netflix. So maybe take another turn. But that is going to do it for us, guys, for a review roundup. We reviewed 3 movies. I hope it gave you all a good sense of how we feel about these. Hopefully there's more to come in the future. We probably
this is definitely going to be a reoccurring thing. This is one of the reasons why we started this channel in the first place. So yeah, go check them out or don't. Everybody's obviously, and this is one of the things that I love about film. It's so subjective. I'm going to say this over and over and over again. There's things that work for people and there's things that don't work. And obviously, Boy from Medellin, check it out. It is a good documentary. Whether you're a J Balvin fan or not, it's just overall. And if not, I feel like it will turn you into a fan. Spiral, again, if you're a Saw fan, you're definitely going to enjoy it. I don't think you're going to love it and think it's the greatest one. But it will do something for you. If you need that little, you have that Saw itch that you want to scratch, it'll do it for you. If you don't have that Saw itch, this is definitely not going to do it for you. And then a woman in the rear window is a no-go from Kyle. So I'll probably check it out this weekend, dreading it, just to say I saw it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it, guys. That's all we got for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in or about to tune in. I don't know what we're doing here, if we're doing live or not.
There are 2 people watching, so it's interesting right now. This is going to turn out. We actually got a text from our boss as we were doing this asking why we did it this way, and that's going to be fun afterwards.
That's going to be great. Awesome. I have no control over this, but yeah. There you go.
Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next week. There will be another Jader and Kyle show. Tune in for that. All the other shows on this network, and look out for more reviews in the future. Thank you, everyone.
Later.